I should have seen it coming. Some people assume betrayal happens in a single moment, a knife to the back, a quick smack of reality. Yet that's not true. It happens in layers, in subtle alterations, in the tiny ways a person begins to treat. You like you're less than what you were to them. Olivia and I had been divorced for 2 years, and yet the way she looked at me that night at the gala, it was as if she had been waiting for this moment, waiting to see me little, to watch me humiliated. To make sure I understood I was beneath her now, I wasn't. But she didn't know that. The gala was held at one of the finest hotels in the city, chandeliers dripping in gold, servers in clean uniforms gliding across the room, carrying pricey wine. People dressed like they belonged on magazine covers. It was the kind of place Olivia had always dreamed of being a part of, the kind of place she believed she deserved. And now, with her new husband on her arm, she had finally made it. I wasn't even meant to be there. My business partner, Ryan, had hauled me out, stating I needed to be seen, that people needed to be reminded that Michael Bennett wasn't dead. Yet, I didn't care about that, but I did worry about meeting folks who had written me off, who had imagined I had fallen into the background after the divorce. And Olivia, she was one among them. She saw me from across the room, her lips curling into a leisurely, delighted smirk. She muttered something to the man beside her, her new husband, Raymond. The wealthy billionaire who had taken her away after our marriage collapsed. He led. His suit was made to perfection, his shoes shone, and his hand rested on Olivia's waist as if to establish his claim. She approached me like a queen descending from her throne, eyes gleaming with something terrible. "Michael," she drawled, tilting her head. "I didn't expect to see you here." The way she said it, it was a dagger wrapped in silk. I mustered a pleasant grin. Neither did I, but here we are. Raymond extended a hand, a trained smile on his face. "I've heard a lot about you, Michael." I shook his fingers firmly, wondering just what Olivia had told him. I had no doubt it wasn't flattering. "I'm sure you have," I stated smoothly. "All excellent things, I hope." Olivia let out a laugh, high, sharp, and fake. "Oh, Michael," she cooed, eyes flicking over my suit like she was scanning for signs of wear and tear. "Still as charming as ever. You always did have a way with words, even when things weren't going well for you." There, that was the initial jab. I didn't respond, just took a slow sip of my drink. That only made her more anxious to keep going. "It's been so long since we last spoke," she continued, her voice carrying that terrible mix of mock pity and condescension. "I heard you've been keeping a low profile. What have you been up to these days?" I understood what she was doing. She wanted me to stammer, to acknowledge I was struggling, to confirm whatever story she had created about me in her head. I gave her nothing. "I've been doing well," I said simply, not giving her the joy of specifics. She pouted, appearing to be unhappy. "That's wonderful to hear. For a time, I was worried about you. I mean, after the divorce, I guess it must have been hard adapting." Yes, she was enjoying this. Raymond, ever the courteous observer, chuckled lightly, though I could see he was still attempting to evaluate me. He didn't know me, not really, but he trusted Olivia's image of me, the bitter, struggling ex-husband who couldn't move on. I let her keep talking. "I guess things work out the way they're supposed to," she remarked with a dramatic sigh, squeezing Raymond's arm. "I mean, I never believed I'd be where I am now. You wouldn't believe how great life has been since I married Raymond." I offered a slight nod. "I can imagine." She leaned in, lowering her voice just enough to sound private, yet loud enough for surrounding ears to catch her comments. "He purchased me the most gorgeous mansion in the city," she said, eyes twinkling. "You should see it, Michael. It's everything I ever desired. 7 bedrooms, a marble foyer, a pool that runs throughout the entire backyard. And the location? Exclusive. Only the most successful people live there. I could feel the attention in the room shift. People were listening. She wanted them to. She wanted them to hear that Olivia had moved on to something greater. Then, with a twist of her head, she delivered the final blow. You probably still live. In a dump, don't you? The words hit the air like a slap. A few folks giggled under their breath. Others buried their smirks behind their champagne flutes. I could feel their eyes on me, waiting to see how I'd react. Olivia had always been like this. Cruel in the most sophisticated way. Maybe she had a talent for undercutting people in a way that made it look like she was simply being honest. However, tonight she had no idea who she was talking to. I smiled. Not a forced smile, not a bitter one. Simply a simple, effortless smile that made her blink in surprise. Something like that? I said effortlessly. And that was it. I didn't respond. I didn't defend myself. I didn't try to prove anything. And that was what got to her. I watched, the flash of confusion cross her face. She had anticipated anything, an excuse, an argument, maybe even a dejected look in my eyes. She received nothing, and that was what made her nervous. Well, she continued, trying to retake control of the conversation. Maybe one day you'll get to feel what it's like to live in luxury. I let out a low chuckle. Maybe. I could have spoken more. I could have told her the truth, that her new spouse didn't buy that mansion, that I owned the entire estate, that she had just mocked the man who held her fate in his hands. But where would the enjoyment be in that? I decided to let her enjoy her moment, for now. Because what Olivia didn't realize was that life has a way of changing the script. And soon enough, she'd be the one standing in front of me, embarrassed, desperate, and powerless. She simply didn't know it yet. No more excuses. No more extensions. No more bargains. The official foreclosure notice was issued. The bank, under my instruction, arranged an eviction date. And the best part? I made sure I would be the one delivering it. The trip to her mansion, the morning of the eviction. I took my time. No rush. I had already won. I could imagine it so vividly. Olivia, still ignorant, sipping pricey coffee in her fancy kitchen, plotting her next grand shopping excursion, entirely unaware that her life was ending. As I pulled up to the estate, I took in the sight of the mansion one last time. Grand, ornate, overblown, and soon empty. It almost felt poetic. She had summoned me here to brag, to ridicule me, to show off her triumph. And now I was returning, not as a visitor, not as an outsider, but as the owner. And this time, I wasn't leaving empty-handed. The knock that changed everything, I rang the doorbell and waited. A few moments later, Olivia opened the door. Dressed in her typical stylish clothing, looking polished, immaculate, untouchable. For now, her brows furrowed the second she spotted me. "Michael?" she said, frowning. "What are you doing here?" I gave her the envelope. The eviction notice. She barely glanced at it. "What is this?" she muttered, rolling her eyes. "Some kind of joke?" Then she read it, slowly, word by word, and I noticed it. The change, the slow breaking of her world as reality settled in. She read it again, and again, as if she could change the words just by staring hard enough. Her hand trembled, her face pinched, her eyes shot up, meeting mine with genuine, honest amazement. "Michael, what is—" she whispered. But this time her voice wasn't mocking. It wasn't arrogant. It was terrified. I cocked my head, feigning innocence. "You mean you don't recognize an eviction notice when you see one?" She shook her head. No, this isn't true. Raymond owns this property. This is our home." I gave her a slow, patient smile. "Not anymore. The breakdown begins." She stumbled back, her breath coming in quick, frightened gasps. No, no, this can't be happening. This is a mistake. Raymond will fix this. I shrugged. You should probably call him, but I don't think he'll have much to say, considering he lost everything weeks ago. Her lips parted. What do you mean, lost everything? I sighed, almost pitying her. Your husband is broke, Olivia. He's been broke for months. He spent everything on a business transaction that flopped. And now he has nothing. Not his company, not his money, and obviously... I waved around us. Not this mansion. She staggered back against the door frame, trembling. No, that's not possible. He told me... I cut her off. He told you what? That he was still rich? That everything was fine? I let out a tiny smile. He lied. And I watched as it hit her. The years of arrogance, the ridicule, the sham life she had been living, it all crumbled in real time. Raymond's desperate return right on cue. A car screeched to a stop in the driveway. Raymond. He practically fell out of the car, his suit crumpled, his eyes wild, his entire aura stinking of desperation. He recognized me immediately. His expression twisted into something between rage and terror. You! He screamed. What the hell do you think you're doing? I turned calmly, slipping my hands into my pockets. Serving an eviction notice. You're trespassing on my property. His face drained of color. Your property? He stammered. I nodded. Yes, mine. I own the estate. Always have. You've been living in my house, Raymond. His lips opened, then closed, then opened again as he tried to process the impossible. No, that's not true. We had a mortgage with the bank, and the bank sold it to me the second you defaulted, I grinned. Like I said, my house. I watched as the truth crept in, as Raymond Carter realized he had lost everything. And the best part? It was me who took it all. The final blow. Olivia turned on him, eyes burning with utter betrayal. You promised me we were okay, she shouted. You swore we weren't in trouble. I thought I could fix it.